All right, we're back at the Leesburg Executive Airport for the open house here. It's August 29th, 2009. And I have several guests here with me. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, actually.
Sure. My name is Ron DeCandia, and I'm the Director of Operations and Training for AVET Flight School here at Leesburg.
Okay.
I'm Kelly Fry. I am a military pilot wannabe.
Not bad.
And I'm Major Dave Skalicky. I go by Zeke, and I'm a military pilot, actually, for the United States Air Force F-22 demonstration team.
Sounds good. Now, what we're here to talk about with this segment, Kelly, we actually spoke to you a little bit earlier.
Right.
And Zeke, we know your story off and on. We've interviewed you a few times. We want to talk about the fact that you are inspired to be a military pilot, and you're focused on aviation, even though you've had a whole other career.
That's
and
right.
You're getting some of your training here at the Leesburg Airport. So we kind of want to tie that whole story together and let you guys talk a little bit on air and share with our viewers what that story is all about. So Ron, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you've helped Kelly kind of start up and get ready for that experience?
What happened was Kelly found out about us, I believe, through the website, our website. And she approached us, and me in particular, regarding how we could best help her get a leg up for her United States Air Force applicant position, her trying to get in with the squadron at Andrews, I believe it is, right? Okay, F-16s. We're familiar with the fact that the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force have primary flight training programs. These primary flight training programs enable those military services to kind of get an overview of the applicants and find out how well they adapt to the aircraft environment, the aviation environment. That's a lower cost aircraft, a much, probably a more subtle, better environment for people to do that in. So what we are trying to do is give Kelly a little bit of what we call the gouge, all right, in the military world, okay? So she knows exactly what she's doing when she goes in there. Essentially, it's interview prep.
Right.
Really, and but with a skill base here.
Right.
So we're teaching her the basics of basic airmanship. We're trying to teach her flight discipline, basic skills, proficiency. We're trying to give her the pillars of knowledge regarding aircraft knowledge, regarding crew resource management, and all the other knowledge areas, meteorology, so forth and so on. In this way, what we can do is tie all of this up into a capstone of airmanship that is basically developing in her situational awareness and good judgment.
Now, Kelly, had you had any flight training before you met Ron and started that program?
No, not at all. So this has really been critical.
Right.
So now, when you started doing this training, what were you thinking, and how did she adapt?
Kelly's a bit unusual, okay? Kelly's a bit unusual in that she's, one, extremely motivated for career aspirations. What she's doing is, if you have picture a triangle of goals, if you will. The top triangle is one of proficiency, all right, one of performance, one in which you're trying to aspire to title, income, position, part of what she's doing, trying to become an Air Force pilot.
Right.
Okay. Also, the other goal, a sub-goal, if you will, would be education, all right, and sheer performance, learning for the joy of learning.
Sure.
Okay. What she has brought is all of these goal-oriented things all in a package. She came with it all. More often than not, people who are coming to us in a discretionary income environment trying to learn how to fly for fun, what they are doing is they are trying to aspire to many of the things that you already brought with us. You are self-confident. You show that in the way you fly your aircraft, okay? You can deal with George Burke, all right? One of my best but toughest flight instructors, okay? And actually, Kelly was set up to fly with Lynn Penderville for a little bit, and then myself, and she made the pilot in command decision, all on her own, no prompting for me, and I'm behind the lines going, yeah, Kelly, go, you go, girl, simply because what she's doing is she's taking the reins, she's taking the bull by the horn, and she is exhibiting those kinds of characteristics that are going to carry her through successfully in an aviation program.
Well, that sounds, and that's exactly the type of pilot that the military would look for. Is that right, Steve?
Absolutely. There's a couple of traits that every pilot has to have, and a lot of that is that kind of that tenacity and that desire to have a goal and set out and actually achieve it. And it sounds like you're taking some of those steps to do that. That's absolutely what we look for in people.
Excellent.
So we're getting the idea that you're in the right mold, you have the right drive. Now, tell me a little bit, Ron, though, about people that, let's just say they don't have the drive to be in the military, but they want to get a taste for aviation and they want to come to Leesburg and go through the same kind of program, but they still want to be able to fly.
Most people in this environment, they're coming out here with discretionary income. Okay, they're doing it for fun.
Right.
That's the prime motivator. They're not career oriented. So what we find is that they don't necessarily come out with many of the prerequisites necessary in order to study skills. You might have a retiree who hasn't opened up a textbook in 30 years. And now I'm trying to delve them into extremely difficult material,
right,
which requires a lot of skill in terms of the studying. And we have to work with them in order to enable them to build their knowledge base, establish study skills. And these are some of the prerequisites that you've already got. You know, you bring this all along, you know. So it makes it harder for those individuals. But as educators, that's what we're in the business of doing.
Sure.
We try and recognize these things, and we accommodate our learning style to suit them. The learning style, Zeke, that you see in the military is vastly different. Did you ever go into any kind of private pilot training?
Absolutely. That's how I started out.
Okay.
Was I did it started out actually with just a love of aviation, and that's what got me involved in a private pilot's program. And then when I saw the opportunities that the Air Force presented, I pursued that for the same, you know, as a career. And
there's quite a difference between the civilian and the military educational environment.
Absolutely, they are vastly different, but there's a lot of similarities. There's similarities, a lot of commonality amongst the programs and how you go through it.
So Zeke, how many pilots would you say on average that you talk to in the military who have had some of that private pilot training?
I would, just taking a guess at it, I would say over 50% have some sort of civilian flying time before they even get involved in the military flying programs. And for me, it just solidified a lot of those goals and those aspirations that I had.
Your whole life you've wanted to be a pilot.
That's right.
So what would you tell that person?
I would say go for it. Don't wait till you're 28 and already have a job as a lawyer. Go for it if you're interested. Give it a shot. See if it's really the thing for you. And if so, you know, do what Zeke said. Focus on your studies. Make yourself the best candidate you possibly can.
And then potentially find a flight instructor or a flight school that could help you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And I would say, you know, something that Ron was saying earlier and that Elizabeth was asking is, you know, even if I don't make it with the military flight programs, having actually been up in the air now, I love it enough. I will absolutely continue with the civilian side of the education, get that private pilot's license, and it's absolutely worth it. So you got to go for it.
And what's the last bit of advice you would throw out to that teenager, Ron?
I've been a flight instructor for 35 years, since 1973. Graduated from Embry-Riddle down in Daytona. Okay. And have more hours in the pattern than you really want to know. Okay. But I've never seen a lack of desire, only a lack of time and a lack of money. Take an economy like we've got right now, discretionary income is hard to come by, but the desire is out there. What people need is a trigger, all right? And the trigger is usually someone like Zeke, someone like myself, someone like yourself who is involved in aviation, and people get to see you, understand you, and all of a sudden they flip that corner of trust, all right? Where all of a sudden I can trust these people out at the airport.
And they trust themselves to be able to do it.
Well, see, that's the hard part. They can trust an aircraft a lot easier, and they can trust me a lot easier than they can ultimately trust themselves. Most people bring out to the airport this little voice of self-doubt in the back of their head that's always there, whether it's conscious or subconscious. And what's going on is they're saying, can I do this? Can I really do this? And there's an old movie called Threshold back in 1974, F4s. Blue Angels, I'm sorry, okay? All right, but it's called The Threshold, and people have to cross that threshold and make that decision. Not only do I think I can do this, I can do this, and they accept themselves and their ability to go into the third dimension.
So that might be one of the other legs up that you have, is you have already figured out that you can do it, and so when you go to, hopefully, potentially, if you go to that primary, you know, flight education with the military, you've already crossed that threshold, where some people might be trying to reach that threshold.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I think we should wrap it up here, guys. It was a great talk.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ron.
Okay, Zeke,
good talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Ron,
Nice meeting you.
Zeke, thanks so much.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys.
Kelly,
Appreciate
good luck
it.
to you.
Kelly, again. Awesome. And good luck again.
Thank you
so much, guys.